Hey guys, we're the Everywhere family. We live in our RV full time and we have been trying to find ways to make it feel more homey rather than an RV. This dinette is one of the things that has to go. So it's a half bench table combo dinette type of thing and we never really use it. It ends up looking like this.
This area was always cluttered and we needed to find a way to better utilize this space.
We were thinking of adding more storage to our RV. We don't have much counter space or cabinet space and we wanted to expand it in this area right here. Originally we were thinking of just ripping out the whole bottom bench and adding a cabinet that like kind of goes into an L, and that just wouldn't work because we realized that when we remove these cushions, there's a bench bottom. And we were like, perfect, we'll just remove the whole bench area. Well, once we did that, we realized that there's plumbing for our toy hauler half bath back there. So that is clearly pipage that cannot be moved. And as you can tell, it comes off of the wall. So it's not really like we can just put something there. It kind of has to be framed around that.
The first step was to remove the table. This was by far the easiest thing we did in this entire project, and at this point the morale was very high. If the rest of this could have gone as easily as this part, we would have been done in just a few hours, but it ended up taking 2 full days. Then I removed the cushions and the bench seat, and my husband started working on taking off the border of the bench. It was just stapled on, so it was very easy to remove, and actually we were very surprised to find out that most of this frame was stapled together. Something that we did that I highly recommend was extending the frame just enough so that 3 standard size cabinet doors from Ikea would fit. The original frame was 52 inches and we extended it out to 57.5, which I figured would be perfect to fit 3 of the 18-inch doors. The doors together would be 54 inches. We wanted them pretty close together and just enough room on the edges to make it look nice. Here's where we realized the frame didn't match up to 18-inch doors, so we had to go to Home Depot.
This is part of our vlog. Are you so excited?
So excited.
Trip number 2
52.
to Home Depot today. Here we are, getting some wood cut.
She's gonna cut my wood.
This is...
After we got the wood and cut it at Home Depot, we headed over to Ikea to get the cabinet doors and hinges. Getting standard size doors saved us a ton of money by not having to make them ourselves, but they were kind of a hassle to install. Alright, here we are lining up the doors just to make sure that they fit exactly how I thought they would. And they do, they fit perfectly, they look amazing, they are exactly how I thought they would be. But actually this part is when I realized that the frame on the bottom wasn't going to attach to the hinge, so we had to cut that piece and replace it. We really did not want to mess with the original frame. It was pretty sturdy and solid considering it was stapled together, but it was a really solid structure, so we didn't want to change it too much. This part is kind of silly, so don't judge, but we had no other option. Yes, I was trying to suck up the sawdust with the vacuum randomly in the air, and it did not work, but honestly, it wasn't that much, so it went away. The next part of this was creating the shelf and the second layer for the cabinets. Because we decided on those standard size cabinet doors, we knew that it needed to be at least 30 inches high, but we made it 32 just to have some overhang on the top and bottom. We did not want the doors to slide across the floor, so we knew they had to be a little bit higher than the ground. Also, something that we learned about this wood is that it is fairly fragile and will crack if you just screw a 3-inch screw into it. So my husband is pre-drilling smaller holes to make sure that when we drill the 3-inch screw in, it doesn't crack or split the wood. We added the back row of supports first because those didn't really matter as much. We just wanted to make sure that they were evenly-ish spread apart. And after that side was done, we put it on top just to make sure that the markings for the other sets of legs were in the correct position. There were honestly so many hurdles to overcome, and even though I thought I was an architect, I clearly was not, and this design was flawed. We originally were going to put the support beam all the way across, but we realized that it was way too high and gonna interfere with the window. So here we are being silly, trying a bunch of different pieces of wood and positions, and we ultimately ended up bracing it on the inside. We didn't mind bracing it on the inside because the frame was already secured to the floor and the wall. This is still the first day of doing this project, and I just want to say that it was very time consuming, but very easy. There were a few hiccups, obviously, because I did measure a few things wrong and I didn't exactly think the design through. But I do want to say that the measurements weren't that far off, that we were still able to finish the project with the pieces that we already bought. Here we are securing the legs of the second level of the frame. These are the ones that we measured out and made sure that they were in the right position for the doors. Since the legs were already pre-drilled with a little bit of a smaller hole than the screw, it made it so easy to put the screws in, and they did not chip or crack at all. So I would definitely recommend pre-drilling smaller holes before you screw in a big screw. Again, we attached the full length of the brace to the inside rather than on the top like we originally planned, but it did not affect this at all. In a way, it kind of made the countertop stronger because there were more points for the countertop to sit on. Rather than it just being the border, it was the border plus all of those 8 legs. We also added 4 braces connecting each side of the frame, which gave the countertop even more structure to sit on. What we did was we basically mimicked the bottom frame and put it on the top because we figured it was easy but durable. Once the top level was completed, we had to screw it down to the first level, which gave us the shelf and also the frame for the top. We used 2-inch nails for this part, and as you can see, my husband is also pre-drilling all of these holes. Because the cabinets came out a little bit further than the doors, there was like 2 inches that would have no covering of the wood. So I bought these little 1/4 inch thick pieces of wood, and I figured we would staple them to be like a corner trim, and then I spray painted them white to match. It actually worked out perfect. We are getting so close. I can finally see it all coming together now. What he's doing now is bracing the countertop to the frame using these little brackets, and it comes with screws that he just screws in. He used 8 of these, and the countertop is not going anywhere. It is so secure. So now that the countertop is on, the final thing is to install the doors. And I know that sounds easy, but like I said in the beginning, this was actually very tough. This is a custom frame, so there are no pre-drilled holes. There is no guide to go off of. We're kind of just measuring and hoping for the best. I was the one who marked the holes for him to drill, and the top one was so unlevel that it would not latch to the door, and it was taking forever. So I didn't really record much of that part. It looks like the door just came on magically. That is not the case. You can see us cheering right now. We were so excited when it was finally on. By the second door, he had a way better idea of how to make sure that they were level and perfect. So the second and third doors were much easier than the first ones. Here is the final look. What do you guys think? I am so excited. This is a much better use of our space, and I was even thinking of buying stools to use the top countertop as like a table. And the bottom is still open to the plumbing, so if we need to work on it, we can.